told what to do 24/7. And so when put to the task, like they would work hard, but if they didn't have anybody, if they didn't have someone literally telling them what to do, setting their whole schedule, then it would quickly fall apart, and they couldn't understand why weren't succeeding.
Well, out of a platoon, you have squad leaders, right? So if you have 4 squads in your platoon, there's a baby leader for each squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that baby leader, I know I shouldn't say it that way. But that particular person is only in control of his 5 people. Well, whatever their squad is depends on the
Right.
platoon, right? And then they answer to their platoon sergeant. Their platoon sergeant answers to there's another sergeant. I can't remember what we call him, but for me, it was one particular sergeant he was an E5, and then there was another one that was an E6 or an E7. Um, the guy that was the E7 was the guy that made every single decision that we experienced throughout the day that wasn't given by an officer. Right, our lieutenant would tell him what to do, obviously. Um, but when you really look at it, it's like the bulk of the people were followers.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
90% of the military is sheep.
Well, that's how you're trained.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also don't think because then you'll get scared and not want to fight.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Um, but there are a lot of people, whether trained or otherwise, who just have that mentality of like they're really good at what they do, but they're just used to other people making sure staying on top of them and giving them things to do one right after the other.
Yep.
So I totally relate to that.
So I think today let's do what's happening, Mario?
Alright. I was just
Uh,
listening. You were in the military?
yeah,
Huh.
I've led an interesting life.
I hear more stories.
Oh, I mean, all bullshit aside, I've had a pretty fun and adventurous life. First chunk of it, though, I did not set myself up for financial stability. Um, I part of me wishes I would have planned ahead a little bit because now I'm struggling to make sure I can retire comfortably, and that sucks. That sucks a lot, actually, because the older I get, the more expensive shit is.
Yeah.
Then on top of it, I got diabetes, so now all my food is twice as expensive as crap food. It's like, oh my god, come on, guys, give me a break. Like I've made it a mission of mine now and I give all of the grocery store managers hell. Where's the diabetes aisle, man? And they just kind of laugh. It's like I have to walk down every single aisle to a little section to find something that I can eat that I won't die. And I don't smile at him when I say it. So he's like, you gotta stop doing that.
Hey, who's that old crotchety man who comes in here?
Well, I mean, like, really think about it. Like, I'm not mean, but I don't smile when I'm saying it. Like, they quickly
Yeah.
see it's like, oh, you're not joking. It's like, no, man. I gotta hunt for stuff that's not gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And then when you find it, tastes bad and it's twice as expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
That,
most of the food I'm eating right now, I actually enjoy. I found replacements for a lot of the crap that I used to eat. Like spaghetti, I used to eat a lot of spaghetti. Um, when Cindy doesn't want to cook, I found these. Actually, even when she does want to cook, sometimes I'm just in the mood for it. It's bird's eye, and it's a vegetable spaghetti, like a spaghetti squash or something. I can't remember what it's
yeah.
made
So
out
is
of.
it like green?
No, it
Okay.
looks exactly like spaghetti. It's in a tomato sauce. It tastes like spaghetti. It's a little more al dente,
Mm.
but holy crap, it's good.
Huh.
Now, granted, I'm not supposed to eat the whole bag, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but even the whole bag is still within my limit for dinner. So I basically it's a bowl of spaghetti for me. Instead of killing me, like it's okay for me.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do it. I like it.
The low sugar or diabetic ice cream's also alright.
Oh man, let me tell you about my ice cream today, buddy. So I got this all right, I got this zero sugar caramel drizzle like syrup, and I also have this sugar free chocolate. Uh, so I'll do a little bit of whipped cream and some of that chocolate drizzle on the low carb Breyers chocolate ice cream. I never craved that stuff before I got diabetes. Now once I had diabetes, it's like I want sugar. um, my breakfast should not be good for me either. It's a little whipped cream, which is zero sugar, zero carbs. It's amazing. I have this keto cereal that is honey almond. It's actually really good. It tastes seriously like some kind of cereal. um, I put some blueberries and some raspberries and some strawberries or blackberry, whatever berries I'm doing that day. A little bit of, like I already said, the whipped cream. A little bit of cinnamon or chocolate or caramel on it. Um, it should not be healthy for me, but it's so good and it doesn't raise my blood sugar.
Gee.
And it's actually not bad for me, but it tastes like it should be terrible for me. Now I don't know about the chocolate sauce. That shit's probably not good for me. It's not sweet, but it gives you a sweet chocolatey. I don't know. I like the chocolate, but I mean, if you didn't like it, you could do caramel. But it's so good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
decadent. And then I'm doing the caramel on my chicory coffee, and that's like a caramel macchiato. Only it's it's way better than a coffee. Although it doesn't have any caffeine, so that's the downside, right? That's the trade off. Like now I got to struggle with I can't say I
Drink.
do. What do I drink?
Yeah, which coffee do you, or is it just straight chicory?
No, actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab the bag because I can't remember exactly what the name is. I'll be right back. Hold on. All right, so it's a French roast, but the name of the coffee is, and I'll pull it up on Amazon because I get it through Amazon. Oh. Shit. Teeccino. Hold on, let's see. They have that's good too.
Tusino chicory coffee.
Yep.
Pumpkin spice.
Well, I do this every day. Like they have a bunch, and they're not all bad. I've tried most of them. This is amazing.
I usually stay away from like the flavored ones, or like, although usually it's like when it's like it's as festive or something.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like these are like this one. Is my coffee, but this is a tea. No, that's a coffee version. I might have to try that. I get the Totino dandelion caramel nut tea. In the evening, it's so good. Let's see, where is the French? So this is what I have now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. And if you look at it, it's only like 4 carbs.
I might have to try this one. I
Well,
usually get
that's
these, like,
weird
big
because on the
French
bag that I have,
I've been looking for like different ones. And
that one
others
says
I
5.
like, usually looking for alternatives too.
Oh yeah, it is. It's 5 grams. Right. So like I'll have one of these in the morning.
Yo, they got mocha? Oh,
Yeah. And like I said, they're not bad. Like when I was told I needed to quit coffee, I freaked out. So I bought all of the coffee alternatives. Can't do that anymore, man. Like I spent a lot of money on food right off the bat. I spent like $600 or $700 the day I found out I had diabetes on all of the diabetic friendly food or the supposed diabetically friendly food. Cindy was so mad.
Had to figure out what you could and couldn't eat and what you did and didn't like quick. I think.
Man, you're not wrong. But like I learned a lot about what like in the process. I learned a lot about what my body does after I eat, and it was very eye opening. Granted, the downside, I gotta poke my fingers every day, several times a day, just to. I don't have a warning light.
Yeah.
um, but I don't mind because I get to see some numbers, right? Like I turned it into a math game. I say I turned it into a Dungeons and Dragons game. I gave my food stats because my nerdy friends understand that. But it's whatever game you like, right? Almost every single game on the planet is a math game. Whether you like the math of making money, or hate the math of losing money, or but it's all numbers in the end.
Yeah.
I play a lot of fighting games, and that's all frame data.
Well, it's that and connect amounts, right? How much did you connect for? Was it this many hit points or this many hit points? So you're again a math game, right? It's timing, math. Like you basically become a card counter. It's just time, right? What's the timing? Or an animator, or a guitarist, or it doesn't matter. It's all a matter of math. So I simplified the boring math that it was into something that made sense to me, and it was like, give my food stats. If this does this, and it's like if my sugar doesn't go up after an hour, and it's still down after 2 hours, I can eat it again. Right? What's it do? Is it one of those ones that's like, man, I should probably only do that once a month? I do that with a Reuben. I eat half a Reuben and some fries, and it doesn't mess me up too bad. It keeps me well within my acceptable limits, so that I don't have to go back on any of the medication. Because I'll be honest, I'd rather poke my fingertips and draw some blood than have to inject anything into my body ever again.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I that would be the hardest thing. I think above anything else, caffeine, whatever, would be the pricking of my finger.
I would stay away. You probably don't drink this, but there was a drink in Starbucks that people were talking about because it was a pumpkin spice latte thing, and it had a crap ton of calories, and the amount of sugar was so high that they basically showed like a visual aid, and it was almost like 3 inches of sugar in a cup. And it's like, the company even like commented like, we dropped a few calories from off the top from the drink, so it's not that bad. But it's like, holy crap, how much sugar are you?
Yeah, those Starbucks drinks can really add up quick.
Oh, that price wise too.
Yeah, multiple ways.
I feel like they're way too expensive for what you're getting anyway. But
I used to get like back when Starbucks like first kind of started proliferating. There it is. So like 2004, somewhere around there, 5. There was a period of time where I was going to Starbucks pretty much every morning during the week, either on the way to school or work. And the drink that I got at that time was about $3.50. It was a grande sweetened iced coffee with an extra shot of espresso. It's my favorite drink from there, and it's really the only one I'll ever get if I go to Starbucks. But I was spending so much money at that time going and buying the stuff. But that's like what all my friends were doing, and everybody was doing. Everybody's going to Starbucks every morning.
Man, I can't believe you were spending that much money. I can't believe you were spending that much money. I understand people spending that much money, but I can't believe you were doing it.
I was, you got to think I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I was working in retail. So there was a lot of, I was smoking a lot too when I was in retail. Too. There were a lot of bad habits I had going out all the time and all that. Stuff young kids do.
Yeah, burning money.
Burning money, yeah, paycheck to paycheck.
I mean, it's easy to do, hard to squash.
Well, yeah, eventually it was like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of like bumming around on my girlfriend's mom's couch or, sharing an apartment with 5 other dudes. And, I was like, man, maybe I should save up some money or something.
Yeah.
Especially when we broke up. I broke up with the girl, and I was like, well, shit, now I got to find a place to live. And so I found a place. I lived with my sister for a little bit. She moved to Tampa. And we lived together there for a little bit. But you know, the place we were living, it was super small, and so I was like, man, I can't bring a girl home to this. Like it's, you know, and there was like things like that, you know, where it was like I can't take anybody out to dinner. I'm scrounging for change just to go to Wendy's and get the junior bacon cheeseburger. So it's like those types of things. Like that was probably more than anything else. The fact that I wanted to impress girls was more than anything else why I started to save money a little bit.
I don't want to live in the little house that I live in. That's why I'm saving money.
Yeah.
Strangely, I don't dislike this house. It's just too small. Like,
It's yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm living in a storage shed because we ended up getting my wife's parents downsized and gave her a lot of heirloom furniture, like really nice furniture. We have a custom made wagon wheel table for our dining room table, and it spins. It's an actual like custom made table from a Japanese furniture maker, and it was built in Okinawa. It's all handcrafted. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. All of the chairs that go with it, and they're like cypress stump seats. And the base of the table is like a giant cypress stump. And it goes into this wagon wheel table, and it's glass, and it's amazing. A couple of curio cabinets, a couple of benches, and some other stuff that her father actually made. Like stuff that's, one, would look amazing if it was, if you plan to set the room up in that style of decor.
Yeah.
Well, we had all our shit when we got all that, so it's like all like we didn't get rid of anything because my furniture was practical, right? It's not curio cabinets or dining room tables. It was bed, couches, and just that kind of furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're stuck with all of this stuff. It's like, where do we put it? It's like we don't have room for it. We gotta get it for the house. I had to reset everything. I ended up with a weird problem, and I reset my whole Blender default layout. You know, I basically did a factory reset,
Yeah.
and it did not fix the problem. It was in the file. Like, damn it. And it's the latest version of my view, so all of the work that I had done, for some reason, it's no longer organized. Like, I had it all set up in collections.
Yeah.
And now it's all in one collection. And I lost all of these menus, all of this. These little arrows are here. Like, it's so weird. Like, that little arrow exists. But when it's open, it's just another little arrow that points that way. It's like, wait a minute. Same with over here. Like, when you...
Oh, can you share your screen?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I
I've been
am
watching
on
it
YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were on YouTube. Here I am just sharing.
No, that's all right. What? Huh. Sometimes I hate this TV I have. I could not get to the go live button because the window wasn't maximized. That's so dumb.
There we go.
I wonder where. Word. All right, so let's do. Yeah, I had to reset everything, man. These little arrows right here would.
Yeah.
When I would open it, this wouldn't be here, and it was just another little arrow pointing back. So like, even on the tools, right? I would get that little arrow, but it wouldn't like. There was no toolbar. So weird. So I'm gonna go do this in cycles because this is only gonna work in cycles. But I want to play around with some procedural. Procedural. I don't know, like wood. Let's make some wood. This usually always looks like it's CG, but it's fun. right? And it gets you playing with some of the nodes and kind of gives you an opportunity to experiment with an outcome that you can get almost every time, but you can play around with it and get all kinds of neat effects. And
follow along in this one?
you can.
Alright.
I'd like to go through it before you ask questions, and I can always repeat it. But like, let me get through it and make sure it works before I start breaking it down and explaining everything. Because like, I don't do this regularly. Until I go to start teaching, and it's like, all right, I got a few things that I like to do in the beginning to kind of get back into the swing of things. You know, one of them is this, right? So we'll make a new material. I got Node Wrangler turned on in the preferences, so under add-ons, I believe it's under Node Wrangler, right? You should have it on. I had to reset it up. All right, so I'm gonna add a noise texture. So I'll just search for noise. So I got a noise texture.
You just right-clicking when you do that, right?
Shift A, and I can go to search.
Oh.
Right, but you can also right-click. Oh, you can't do it in this. In 4, they added search to everything. So all you have to do is hit right-click and you can search. You can't do it yet. This is only 3.6. So Shift A, and then I'm going to search for Musgrave. All right. From this one, I'm going to hit Control T, and that's going to add my mapping and texture coordinate. But I want to change, so I'm going to Control-click and drag to object, because I want this to be mapped to the object. Right? So I'm just going to connect them like so. Right? We'll see what we get. All right, so that's what's going on. So what exactly is happening? So we got a noise texture. Right? See the noise. Right? I'm not going to adjust any of these because I want to set this up for the wood grain and then start tweaking certain ones to see what happens one at a time. So I don't want to make any adjustments in the beginning. But I do want to show you what's happening, right? So with just the Musgrave, right, that's what that pattern looks like.
That's Musgrave?
Yep.
Okay.
So now if we took this and did this, right, that's the pattern we get.
That's kind of cool. Looks like water.
So that's the noise. That's the noise with the Musgrave pattern attached to it, right? So we might want to tweak all of this. So let me put this back, right? Now you get different effects based on your type. So like I can switch to texture, something happens. I can switch to vector. It's different. It may not look it, but it's different. The way it actually works. That one you can see, right? So like,
Cool.
how is it different? I believe it's how it's mapped, right? So I can scale. Maybe. There we go.
I have a really dumb troubleshooting question.
Yeah.
I have my cube. I'm trying to add a node to the blueprint. It won't let me add anything. I right click. I shift A. I can't search for anything.
Oh, because okay, there's a reason. All right. So you have your object. See how there's nothing here? It says slot and new. You haven't actually created a material slot.
Oh, God, so dumb.
No. I'm glad this happened because I kind of glazed over it and didn't even think about it, and I forgot. This is very important when it comes to materials in Blender, right? You create a material slot for it. That way you can put a material in that material slot and do stuff with it. It basically creates the graph that technically isn't here yet. Even though it looks like your graph, this is basically like if you were a model maker, this would be your cutting mat. Right? So I'll create a new one. Now I have a material in slot 1, right?
Yeah.
Over here we can rename it. I'm gonna put them both on material, right? So as I start tweaking this, and I've been adjusting the scale here. Let me get in here. Can you see? Well, you know what? I tell you what. Let's make some changes to our color. So let's do a color ramp. Color ramp's pretty cool. I can just take this. right? And it's going to end up creating a gradient, but we might not see. Well, we can see it happening, but we're not seeing the actual gradient because it's so big. So let's put some control to it, right? So we'll just throw this into the factor. Oh, look at that. Now I can see what I'm doing, right? So I don't know where it needs to be. I'll just play around with it until I get something that looks okay. Right? Then I can start playing around with. I like how much it's stretched for wood, even though it looks kind of small. But if I do too much here, I might have a hard time with these other settings. So scale-wise, even though it looks a little small, I think it's okay. I might be able to. Let's make it a little bigger, right? Yeah, that looks like a good pattern to start with, maybe. I can adjust my scale. Now I'm not going to change any of this stuff.
The FBM and 3D.
Yeah, this is fractal Browning motion. So you have a couple of different types of texture stuff. We'll look at that in a minute after we're done with the wood. We'll go into these procedurals pretty heavily. Like look at what you can do with them and kind of like give you a little bit of insight so that you can kind of be creative with what you're doing or how you're putting it together. Right? So I'm going to adjust scale, right? I'm going to adjust these things one at a time to see what happens. All right, so maybe scale-wise, that looks good. What's this look like over here? I don't necessarily like that, but that's fine. Detail, maybe I want scale way down. Oh, yeah. Right? Like this kind of stuff. Well, this kind of stuff is fun, right? You're seeing instant results. So detail, I can bring that detail down, right? Bring it up, scale it down, scale it up. Maybe something like that. I can adjust dimension. I got like old wood or wood paneling pattern. Like in my old house that I grew up in, one I lived in my whole life, we closed in our carport, and that became my bedroom, and it was this old wood paneling. I loved it. My brother and I, this stuff. No, it's not. Well, basically it's that stuff. The gaps here.
Just dark kind of color.
Well, no, it was about that color, but it was a wider gap. Like it wasn't just plank to plank. And it was a very common type of wood paneling that you would find in the 80s. I would have preferred the 70s style wood paneling.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of that.
It kind of looks like that stuff. Yeah. It was this, but it wasn't this dark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. In our little cabin we have up in Georgia, this is pretty much what it is. It's this naughty, but it's actual hardwood. It's actual like, because it's a log cabin.
No, this one was yellow pine. Like it was cheap, but you know we weren't doing that hot when he had to close the garage in because the family got bigger.
Yeah.
All right, so I can keep tinkering with this and get something that I like. Right, playing around with that. So I'm gonna make this color. So I'll just click on it. Let's do. I'm gonna pick like an orange color, maybe a little darker. I'm gonna control click in here, somewhere in there, and then for this guy, I'm gonna make him like almost a black. No, I'll make it black. Well, mostly black, right? Then I'm gonna crush that, right? And you're gonna start getting it. I don't like this pattern, so I'm gonna fix that real quick. All right, so I want that maybe to be. No. Yeah. So I want to pick this color. It's not letting me. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So now I want to take that and adjust the brightness of that one just a little bit. So, you see what I'm doing? Oh, I like that. Maybe I'll do that instead of brighter, because I like that. Let's bring you up a little, make you warmer. Yeah, so, okay, so there's my wood. I'm not done yet, and my pattern is really not quite right. I haven't even adjusted this guy yet. So my lunacrity, lacunarity, I don't know how to say that word. All right, so I'll play around with that, tweak that, and just look and see what it's doing, right? Scale, I don't know what I want to do. How do I want to do this? All right, I'm just gonna look and see what happens. Maybe.
It's like water ripples.
Alright, so we can add some distortion in here. Right, I'm not trying to match anything. I'm just showing you the settings, right? Otherwise, because I probably wouldn't tweak this that much, right? So let's go no distortion. What happens? Adjust some roughness. Nothing's really going on there. Let's bring that back down. And I think some of this, right? So let's look at something else, right? Because I said this is different. That looks different, right? I told you, like, even though it didn't look like it was changing earlier, it is different. Maybe I want a little more space there. All right, so then I would have to, which way do I want to go?
Like
All right.
cork.
Well, I mean, I didn't technically give you a tutorial. I showed you a couple of nodes, and this is what you can do with it, right? So let's go. Let's take it a little further. Let me see. Okay, so maybe I want to move this because I don't really like that blob. All right, I'm gonna run with that. All right, bring this.
Like, that's an interesting.
Right? It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's right. How it folds, right?
Yeah.
It's a little chunky over here, and I'm not sure if that has to do with. See, I got better, right? Watch this area. Right, because we got some weird faceting.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so that was based on the detail and geometry.
I see.
All right. So let's take this a little further. What do I got here? Let's see what happens here. I'm really liking this. This is looking like a really nice wood grain. Looks like an olive wood. Again, I'm not working from reference, but once you start tweaking it, like you can actually control it pretty well, right? I don't think I want to play with any of that anymore, but I want to use this stuff to do a couple of things. One, I want to look at this. I'm gonna add. Let me see. I might have to add some HDRI, but let's see. Can I get a sunlight in there? Tell me about a sunlight. It's a directional light. And what about a directional light doesn't matter?
What about the directional and the position that you put it in?
Correct.
In the scene?
Has absolutely no relevance at all in the scene, right? But your rotation does. So where do I?
But I think I remember you saying that you generally tend to set it up where you kind of want it to be anyway.
Well, yeah, that way I can find it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I try to somewhere in the scene, like even in Unreal with a directional light, I just put it above all of the stuff, right? So it's like, okay, I know right where my light's at. It's usually at 0, some height. 500. I don't know, 1500. If there's a building there, it might be higher than the building. If there's nothing there, it's just flat ground, it might be 50.
Sure.
So I got some light in here. Now I want to do some subsurface scattering. Right, so we'll add this to our subsurface color. Right. I got to turn this on, so let's add a little bit. I don't know how much. Just a little bit. All right. I'm not going to see it because right now I'm in Eevee and I need to switch to cycles. Bam, look at that. We'll bring that back down. I want GPU. That'll work. All right, and I'm going to turn off turn on denoise, right? So that's going to eliminate some of that noise. Not really seeing. I am seeing the subsurface scattering, but I'm not really seeing the effect because I have one light in the scene. Where is my light? Okay, let's add some bounce light. I might just set up a. Let me make that coming from a lower angle. Actually, let me make that. Alright, so I want you to have a bluish tint. Alright. See it? There's my blue light. It's not much. Alright. We're getting spill over here too, right? So you're getting that subsurface scattering in there. I don't really have that much. That's much nicer. All right, so real little on the subsurface amount, but I can do even more, right? Let's play around with our roughness, right? So let's just make a new one. Ramp, color ramp. I'll use it like that actually, and let's plug our roughness right into roughness, right? And then factor to factor. It's there. It's catching. See how it's catching that light?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Matt DeLumba. Matt DeLumba did this really stellar tattoo today. I really enjoyed it. I'm taking a minute to praise this dude, even though he doesn't give a shit. He did this airplane, and it's got a compass rose behind it. It's in gold, and it looks like a vector image. The tattoo is brilliantly done, and it says it's not the years, it's the mileage.
That's cool.
And I was like, you were a stellar apprentice, man. You should have gotten into this 20 years ago. His response: I was the best apprentice. That's all you got to say? That's it. So there's no bump on this, but I'm really starting to get that feel for it. It almost feels like feel that pattern. So let's add a bump. Let's actually play around with this a little. Like, how do I want this? Like, do I want it really polished? This is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? I think somewhere in there. Now, I can even go on the black and not so black, right?
Okay.
So now I'm getting that shine in the dark areas, but not a lot. And you can...
Yeah, okay.
Or just the opposite, right? I could go back to black there. Now I'm getting shiny. And over
Yeah.
here on the white, I can bring that down, right? So now I'll start getting... You have control, like total control. So that's nice. That looks like a relatively polished table that's been taken care of. I mean, the wood grain's a little exaggerated, but the reflection, right?
Yeah.
So I want to take it even further. So let me make some space. Let's do bump. I don't know what I just did. All right. I hit some button. I should have paid attention to what keys I was hitting, because now I don't know what I did. Shift A, bump. So right off the bat, let's just take it from here and plug it into height, and then plug height into normal. All right. So here's what we've got going on. All right. So with your distance, you can start bringing that back.
Okay, hell yeah.
I'm sorry, not your distance, your strength. All right. So maybe I can just bring this right into height. Right? Now I have control over it, like I have my... I don't want to do that, because remember I softened this. So that's why I went from there initially, because that still gives me the sharpness of this. Or I could just make another one of these guys, right? Right, maybe I want something different. That's actually looking like a hair shader.
Yeah.
You just play around with it till you get what you want. Again, you start spacing these things out. Maybe and that's just on the normal, right? So that looks different in EV and in Workspace. This is your Workspace engine. You still see it,
Yeah.
but you're losing some of that. But it is still cool. And like if you're in EV, I don't know if any of this works. It might. And this is EV. Oh yeah, it still works. EV is no longer in development as of 4.1.
So,
Oh wow. Yeah, I just a little bit. Like I can only do one of those a week. They're rich.
It was the only thing I saw that you pick up
No, that's cool.
other than drink.
Well, thank you. So let's look at these things, right? I think we will move this over here. Let's see. All right. So we've talked about the mapping node. These nodes right here, the texture coordinate and the mapping node. These two are the ones we want to look at. So let's do Musgrave. All right. I'm gonna throw. Oh no, not this one. This one will be fine. All right. So you've got a couple of different dimensional settings, right? So 1D. I've not found a use for this personally. Yet. Doesn't mean that somebody needed it at one point. 2D is basically 2D. 3D gives you 3 dimensions, and 4D, I don't know how to explain it, but I can tinker with it, and you get different settings here, right? So 3D, you got scale, detail, dimension, lacunarity? That's hard to say. In 4D, you get another, you get a W, right? So you can, let me see. I can make the craziest of noise. But I can also like stack these things. Not quite wood grain. Well, it could be. But I made a noise texture with this guy, right? You see? I mean, like, there's so many ways to do the same thing, right? But Musgrave texture's neat. All right, let's keep playing with this guy. We're doing 4D, so again, we'll play around with detail in a little bit at a time, right? Like, if I made all these changes massively all at once and I didn't really pay attention, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. Dimensional, doesn't look like it's making any major changes. Is it happening over here? No, nothing's really happening. Now it is. So there's a max, right? It's probably right at, looks like 2. It looks like it's like a 0, -2, -5. See, it doesn't seem like it's changing. So at 0, 2, right? Anything above 2? Oh, I got a little darker. I think it's 5. It might be 3, but like there's a cap to it, right? It eventually stops.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like I can use that to block stuff out too, right? So same deal, right? Take that guy, plug him into there. Let's say 2. You see what I did? It's kind of neat, right?
Like inverted or.
Well, it's just the pattern, the way instead of it being a noise, now it's contained to this particular pattern, sort of.
You put a Musgrave on a Musgrave?
Yeah. So, tinkering around with it, just get different effects, right? So, that's FBM, that's fractal Browning motion. What about multifractal, right? This kind of looks the same, right? But you got to check everything is different. That might make a nice wood grain. Let's get rid of this guy and let's just play with this one. Multifractal. I'm just resetting everything. We'll leave that. Let's bring the scale up. Right, so this is your multifractal. Like, at this level, you could do a displacement map and get a terrain, right? It's not really all that great, but again, you can scale it. I mean, it is super useful. It's a different type of noise, right? I could do so with fractal Browning motion. It's an animated noise. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Wait, are we in Eevee? We are in Eevee. Out. Eevee. Whoops.
Are you on Cycles or Eevee?
Eevee. It's not changing there. It may not, but fractal Browning motion is usually an in-motion type of procedural. Now, I might need to go into, in order to do that, I might need to go into one of these things with a mapping node and just move it. All right, so I'll do object. And then I can't remember. Right. So that would be your ocean pattern, right?
Huh. Looks like TV static.
Yeah.
All right. So you see the ocean wave pattern kind of there?
Yeah.
So now if you had two of those running over top of each other, you'd have these nice waves kind of doing their thing. I don't know if I can. Add a keyframe. Insert keyframe. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so now let's say insert keyframe. Insert single keyframe. Alright. I need a better way to do this. Alright, so now I have a timeline I can use. Alright, so I'll jump forward, I don't know, over to here. I need to be there. Now, if I just put that on the displacement, I have ocean waves.
Yeah. That's cool.
Right? I mean, that may not be the best one, but that's exactly how you do it. And you can animate all of this stuff, right?
So you run two of those?
You could. But I could also do like all kinds of weird stuff, right? Like I could say, let's insert a keyframe. Let's insert a keyframe. I don't know how this is going to look. Should pop when it gets to the end, yeah. Is that what I want? Probably not, but that could work for dissipating clouds in a time lapse. Right? Like, you just got to be creative with how you're doing this stuff. Like, what can I do with it? What can I get away with? What kind of trick can I do with it? Because in the end, it's all smoke and mirrors. Let's stop you. So, rigid multifractal. That's got some interesting looks to it, right? What's my scale? That reminds me of Spaghetti Incident from Guns N' Roses. I don't know why. That one does stuff. That's cool. That's that one. Offset. Oh, that's neat. Gain. I could see that being some planetary thing. Alright, so let's clear keyframes. So I wouldn't even have to. I should have never closed that thing. Really? Come on now. Alright. So, like, now I could just do... Go to here. Clear keyframes. Clear keyframes. Wait a minute, what did I do here? All right, so here I'm going to insert a keyframe, and here I'm going to say 359. Now it's going to ease in and ease out. I don't want it to. So I can go to my graph editor. I cannot because it is not picking up. I did not set the keyframe. I swear I set that keyframe. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I did not insert the keyframe. All right. So it speeds up, slows down. Let's normalize. Oops. And I want the texture. Why is it not showing me texture? It should give me... I'll have to look into that. There's a... There's got to be a way to do it, and I'll have to look. I wasn't really planning on doing animation, but you got the idea, right? Now it spins. You know what? Where's the dope sheet? I might be able to see it in the dope sheet. No. There it is. You have to select the node. I knew it was in there somewhere. Okay. So when you do that, I can probably now see it in the graph editor, actually. Yep. See it? So now, if I unnormalize it, there's your ease in and your ease out, right? So I want that to be linear, so it just... linear. It's under interpolation mode. Bam. So now it just spins, right? It'll never slow down. It won't skip. It's just going to look like it rotates forever. Pretty neat, yeah?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Today was a nice break from modeling, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much to do in this software. It's mind-boggling, actually.
Right? So on a quick end, right? Let's look at something else, and under your, it's under shaders. No, it's under texture. I'm sorry, not shaders. Man, I use Voronoi a lot. Right. So we did look at this one a little bit. This one works really well with a color ramp. Right. So we're just going to leave these as they are.
Whoa.
Yeah, this one is really good. So watch what happens here when you do 40. Right, it's still a little stretched. I'm not really seeing it, so I'm just going to go back to there. This is all based on my UV map, right? So let's real quick see what we're doing. All right, so smart UV project, scale to bounds, and let's do 0.05. Okay, boom. Now, if I go back to shading, you see? It's actually fitting.
Oh,
Okay.
So you have a couple of other types of, I guess it's a feature. Like, let me get something that we can see. All right, pay attention. All right, see the difference? How they do
Like
slightly something different, right? These are nice for all kinds of stuff. This one is an interesting one. Distance to edge, right? Cracked mud.
Cool. Or like when you zoom in on skin.
Yep.
Oh.
But you'll notice it also has these variations in there, so I just made terrazzo. For the record, I love terrazzo floors.
oh yeah, yeah. They're very cool.
So that's distance to edge, and I don't know what this one is. Radius? Yeah, I don't particularly need to worry about it at the moment. But like, let's go to F1, right? So we'll scale this up or down some because we want them a little bigger. All right, and then if I needed to, all right.
Oh my.
Yeah.
There's almost no gradient there, but looks so. Color in.
I could procedurally sit here and make an eyeball.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I'm not. I mean, this is not the way I would procedurally do it, but I
Right.
could. Right.
It's like a jawbreaker.
So, right now I'm doing some neat stuff. Right. So let's change this from Euclidean to Manhattan. What happens here? First glance, doesn't really feel like much has happened.
Whoa, diamond!
Yeah, buddy. Right? How do I want it to look? Man, did I just make a city street? Slumdog Millionaire? Because this guy has a big
yeah.
house.
You could almost make a QR code like this.
You probably could. Right? Nothing on F2. Smooth F1. Distance to edge. Oh wait, that's F1. That's what we want. Yeah. What happens there? Nothing. I don't like that one. That one doesn't do nothing for me.
Yeah.
Alright. I mean, we could say, yeah.
Like a circus tent, sort of. Oh, that's cool. And that was on the Vornite texture?
That's Vornai, right? So, yeah. That's what it's actually looking like coming from the distance, right? The color is going to be kind of weird, right? Like, I can get different effects from these things. There's my position.
Hey, that's cool too.
So now I can take this and come down to normal. All right, let's say... You see it in normal?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's the normal map, right? It's just playing around with textures. So I created a weird cell shaded look, right? With the Voronoi.
Yeah, yeah.
Could I tighten it up? I think I could, right? Let's see. Let's do a ramp. Let's do, I think it's a normal. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making stuff up. Let's do a normal map. All right, so color. Maybe I don't need that. Maybe I just need to do it like this. No, I need the ramp. See why I need the ramp?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't work that great, but I could easily change that to, let's say, Bump. Height. No, it's not going to work the same. And I kind of knew that, actually. So what I would do in the event of cell shaded is I would do more of this. All right, so let's see. All right, so factor is not what I like. So let's see. I don't want that to be. What do we got? We have a Fresnel effect. Right. So, all right. So it looks like Fresnel, but it's actually Fresnel. What's it doing? Right. You see that highlight along the edge? Right.
Yeah.
Notice that it's always.
Even when turning, it's always in the same spot.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a phenomenon that happens when you look at, like, let's say your car from different angles. Right?
Okay, yep.
It's like your paint job effect.
Metallic surfaces?
Anything with high gloss. It's like backlighting effect.
Oh. Okay.
So, like, we can do all kinds of stuff with this guy.
But this doesn't depend on where the lighting is in the scene.
No, it has nothing to do with it, right? So now I can control this. How cool is that? Right, so I can start getting. Again, you got to play with your different effects, right? What's it gonna give me? How's it gonna be? How am I gonna control it? Like, is it giving me problems when I'm on this one? What happens if I'm on this one? This is how I would do that eye. Right? Now I'm doing index of refraction. I'm not doing dummy. All right, so that's not how I would do the eye because I'm using the Fresnel for that. This is just controlling that. So if I wanted to do that, I would have to mix color. All right, we want that plugged into there. And maybe that plugged into there. All right. Now there's a really, really awesome plugin, and I love it. I use it. It's made by a fella. He's a British fella, I think. His name's Danny Mack, and he makes an incredible blender plugins for eyes and character stuff. I don't know if that's. Yeah, this guy's fantastic. The eye designer. I actually have this.
Yeah.
Hello, boys and girls. My name is Danny.
Yeah, I think he is British. Do what now, Francis? Javi?
I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, dude's awesome.
Yeah.
I've talked to him once too when I first got the eye designer. It was email, it wasn't verbal, but he was quick to respond. I can't remember what happened. Something didn't work when I got it, and it was a me problem. And he was quick to help and real polite. So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end it because it's already 7:30. I didn't realize that. Guys, got any questions?
No, that's cool. I'm definitely some things
No.
to play around with here. I've been doing that while you were talking.
I don't think they knew I was streaming at 6. He joined the channel, but he didn't. He's awesome too. I like all these guys. I'm really thinking they were gonna show up today. I'm surprised because they mentioned it. They're like, "Can they join the stream?" It's like, "Yeah, hell yeah."
No, they may have forgotten.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I was supposed to tell them. I just assumed that, like, yeah. I mean, I like you know what they say about assuming, right? But
Okay.
cool.
No. Okay.
You guys have fun?
Yeah.
Well, I made it like halfway, so. From what I saw, though, yeah.
I like that, and I did like the. It looks so shiny.
Yeah, that's satisfying. I like doing this every once in a while just to have some fun.
It's a cool pattern. I mean, it's actually kind of. I mean, you could use that wood pattern in a game or something.
Yeah, I mean it still has a slightly stylized look to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
But it's fun and it gives me the opportunity to start tinkering, right? And I can take all
So
of
you
these.
said these are like procedurally generated textures, right?
Yep.
This is essentially what you said Pixar was using for their models.
This is a very, very diet version of how they make their material.
Yeah, I get the feeling that they probably do way more.
Well, I mean, this is just one layer, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Right? You see where I'm going with this, right?
Oh, wait a minute.
Let's mix some color.
What's wrong, Mario?
Let's mix some color. Let's say you go to there and you go to there. On one of these guys, I'm going to change. Let's say... Let's adjust the hue. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Now,
Oh god, these notes can get rid.
yeah, I'm just debating on how I want to do this. This is the one that I was doing the roughness with.
You did something to make the edge like almost like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Well, now I'm going to start tweaking this thing, right? So, this is mix. And I'm using this, so... Alright, this is where it gets really interesting.
Huh.
Oh, man, look at this.
Are you mixing some of the brown?
I am.
Because I'm seeing.
Alright, I want to spread that brown out. So I want... Maybe that. Alright, so now I'm getting that variation in there.
Has that. It almost has that 60s sort of look.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going for. Rob knows. I've been on that interior design, the 70s, 60s, 70s interior
Yeah.
design kick now for like...
Almost like psychedelic, but not quite. Or where it's like all brown and.
No, it's the 70s colors. You nailed it on the head. Like, that's exactly what I was like without having reference, that's exactly what I was
Yeah.
going for.
Well, they started, so they were doing that wood paneling in the 60s. And there was a period of time, I think in the 70s and the end of the 80s, where they went so overboard with the wood that like everything was wood.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And it can get a little dark because then they'd have like dark shag, right? They have like a brown shag and like wood paneling.
Yeah.
And you walk into some of these, homes from like, older folks who never updated their homes, and it's just like darkness everywhere. It feels like you're in a weird cave.
Right.
But the way they did it in the 60s is they'd have like these really funky mod colors, so you'd have like a nice orange or a red carpet with the wood paneling, and then, nice sort of like, Danish design furniture and the plastics and the it's a pretty cool aesthetic.
So, just like I added them, like we can do some neat stuff.
Like the lime green.
Just with blending those two colors together to get a different color, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my god, could you do triads then?
you mean like another layer?
Yeah. So like, what was the... So like, you could. What is it where you can use? What's that one artist? Oh my god. Eddie Warhol.
Yep.
Like you could do the Marilyn Monroe where it was like the 3 different corners of the color wheel, and you could just do that on a texture
Yeah.
like this.
How many prints did he like? That was what he was, I think, other than the Campbell soup, like he was most famous for doing those, basically
Yeah.
3 or 4 colors.
It was.
Portraits.
Yeah, if I remember, like I could do that in drawing, or not. I didn't do that in drawing. I took drawing class with people that did painting, and they had to do like triads.
Mm.
And I think in photography too. And it was like, you basically look at the color wheel, and whatever is on one side of the color wheel, you essentially make a triangle on each point of a different color.
I
So
see.
like, you would have blue. What is it like? You would basically make different variations of those, whether they'd be complementary or supplementary colors or a triad. So if it was like green, you'd go magenta, or like.
Uh-oh, what is this? This is like interstellar shit right there.
Anyway, I'm rambling.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I've never taken any like art classes or anything, so.
I only took drawing 1, and I took classes in lighting and photography in photography 1. I wanted to do drawing 2 and figure drawing, but haven't been able to.
Fun stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that it looks.
Well, like back to my point, like I didn't want to overwhelm you and be like, all right, here's your node flow. This is what you need to do every time you make wood.
Yeah.
But that simple little setup starts to give you the understanding of blending stuff together. So I could start tweaking these things.
Does it? But what I'm more wondering is, it doesn't really matter too much the order, or does it? Like,
Yeah, depends on what you're wanting to get out of it, but yeah, it matters the order.
Okay.
Like I'm changing everything here, like on this particular one. All right, but what is this one doing? All right, this one is just
The ball almost looks like you're making one of those.
doing that. All right, this is what I'm
repellents.
right. So this is what I'm adjusting, right? So if I was trying to actually make something, this is how I would adjust it individually. Because when I put them together, I want them to look a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Mariana, you said you're taking Python, right?
No, I was doing it on the side. I'm still.
So each one of these nodes is like a function, right? It's like one function that kind of leads into the next. So switching the functions around is going to give you a different output.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's like. This is visual scripting, so it's just they're functions or classes or however you want to call them, depending on how you want to relate it. But they're just self-contained pieces of code that are computing a value and then passing it on to the next thing. So yeah, so it absolutely does matter, and that's why you can get some funky things by kind of switching them around because you're just taking the output and then recomputing it through a different filter or a different.
So, and you can see I'm just tinkering around with different settings, right? So, like with mix, I did this, I got this variation on there. Right? But if I start tweaking this, I start to get different effects. Right? What happens if I do color burn?
That's how I had to think about it, because I learned some coding first and then learned some visual scripting in Unreal. And
like Photoshop layers.
And so so like I was at first like really confused by the whole node flow thing in Unreal, but when I was talking with Mike about it, I was already learning C++, and he's like, "Oh, once you get a handle on the nodes, he's like the blueprinting. You're gonna love this. It's gonna be great." And I'm like, it's so confusing. But once you start to think of it in terms of like what you have an understanding of, like functions and nested loops and all that kind of stuff, like then it makes a lot more sense.
This is all the same texture. I just tweaked it a little bit. Was it this one?
Roughness.
Well, and then whatever I'm actually playing around with is going to give me a slightly different effect, and this is that green one. But like.
That's cool.
And I can do this. Well, let's bring you way down. Right. Let's say. Yeah. So now I can do. No, I want to rotate it on the. And right now that one's just doing a difference. Well, let's do a multiply. There's another one called overlay that's pretty cool. Like that's an interesting pattern. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then we've got, what is it, overlay, overlay. So these should just overlay on top of each other. It should look well, looks the same to me. So maybe it's not really. All right, that's it. Let's call it a night. I gotta eat some dinner. No, I'll keep doing it. I mean, I enjoy playing around with this stuff. And it's nice to just break away from other stuff. I'm really pissed, Rob. Every single thing I did between yesterday and today, I lost. Organization-wise. The model's still there, but I gotta I spent all of that time organizing. And I have no idea why it did it. I'll show you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I have the saved file, and it's organized.
So weird.
It's all under one collection.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened. But all of these menus went away, and I if I figure it out, I can just go back in there because I'm pretty sure I just hid everything. But like when you hit in, the menu pops up. When I hit in, it opens up. None of this is here. It's like, where'd you go? It's like it's not a thing I can turn on and off that I'm aware of.
Real weird.
Right? You know what? I'll have to check that because if these are turned off, no, that's not at all what was going on. Yeah, because see, it still pops open. And it's still there. Huh. All right. Well, if there's no questions, y'all have a great night.
Yeah, good. Sounds good. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. I
See
think
you,
I'm gonna.
on Friday.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna eat some dinner and go to bed.
Oh, lucky you.
Well, I don't know.
We'll catch you a little later.
Ben Freeman's texting me.
Of course.
Oh, actually, I'm just involved in a group chat with him and Matt.
Oh.
I'm gonna remain silent.
Yeah. That's better.
All right, guys.
Man. We'll see you later.
All right, later.
Yeah.